station of decapitation without your head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by Ashlynn Yennie.
Hi, guys.
Hello. And director Peter Daskaloff of Antidote. Hello. Antidote, and it comes out May 11th on demand and DVD. So for people not aware yet, could either of you explain, not into too much detail, what Antidote is about?
Ashlynn.
No, Peter. Peter wants me to explain the movie. I think, Peter, you should explain it first from the writer-director standpoint, because you wrote it and directed it. Peter created this whole film, and it's trippy. I'll put that in
I
right
agree.
now.
We'll get into it. I watched it last night. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a very trippy, very original concept. It has a lot of twists and turns in it. And, you know, one interviewer was like, well, it's a medical torture horror film. And I was like, yeah, it is. But it's
on one level.
On one level, I was like, but it's actually a lot more psychological. And, you know, at the base level of it, it's, you know, these people who have really seedy pasts and have done some really horrible things. And it's about redemption. And it's really, like, what would you do for redemption? So Peter, go ahead. You wrote it.
They're not really evil people. It is just that a lot of people have something in their life, something happened, and maybe they're they're good people, but at some point they just took the wrong turn. And then eventually when they found themselves in a strange situation, they're wondering, like, why am I here? I mean, maybe because I did something, but they don't really want to admit it even for themselves. So basically, this facility facilitates people realizing what they have done and what the consequences are. It's a morality tale, basically. But it is very hard to get into this without spoiling it, because everything is about the ending. So for right now, I would just settle for, a medical terror.
I love it.
This is an experimental facility. They burned me alive.
Sure.
It is. It's one of those. It's definitely a hard, especially when I read the first draft. When I read the script when I first got it, the ending is it's just got that huge twist in it, and so it's really hard to sometimes talk about it because you don't want to say too much. Because you want people to discover, like how I discovered it, and how you did, when you watched it the first time.
Yeah, I was saying the show, it's kind of hard to do, but if you could go into a movie not knowing anything, it really is the best experience. That's why I like going to festivals, because you won't know anything about them, and you'll go in and just watch a bunch of movies. But it's hard to do. You have to explain a little bit of a movie to get people in. But does that make that hard to make a trailer and even make when you're promoting the movie, not to give too much away?
I think it makes it hard not to talk about certain things for sure, right. But there's definitely like tons of things you can talk about in the movie that are in the trailer, which don't give away too much. So they did a brilliant job cutting that trailer together, because you definitely get a sense of like what's going on. It's really, because it moves very quickly, it's very fast, and there's tons of different shots, and you're like, wait, they're in the facility, but then they're in a church, but then she's outside, but then they're in the facility again, and it's just back and forth. So it's like you're wondering, why is she there? Why are those people there? Why are they getting hurt? Just a bunch of why questions, which makes people want to watch a movie. So
it
cool.
Keeps you engaged. You're wondering, where is this going? And there's more than one twist. There's a few twists.
Yeah.
Well, we have plenty of plot, actually, because of the whole plot without the morality tell at the ending is actually a red herring, to put it this way. So, and it is very intentionally done this way. So basically the when the ending comes, it gives you a lot of food for thought.
Did you know each other before the movie?
No.
No.
I knew Ashlyn's work. I knew Ashlyn's work because I was considering her for the lead role. But then eventually initially I cast another actress, which was a much bigger name, so to say. And in this industry, name is quite important. But anyway, the other actress canceled in the last moment, so I just grabbed Ashlynn.
Yes, it was kind of a whirlwind experience for me. I didn't have a ton of time before I started filming. Peter reminded me just on the last interview, it was like 3 days before they started principal photography. So I had worked with the director of photography, Lucas Potassi. I had worked with him earlier in the year, and he was set to do this movie with Peter, and they lost their lead actress. And so I think Lucas had mentioned my name to Peter, and Peter was like, "Oh, you know her?" And then Lucas sends me this Instagram message late September saying, "What's your month of October look like?" And I was like, I'm around. Like, I'm an actor. Of course, what's up? He sends me the script, doesn't tell me anything about it. So I just read the script, and then I email him back, and I'm like, whoa, this is a great showpiece for whoever plays Sharon. And then I was also like, I didn't know what he was having me look at, because there's also the role of Cassandra. And I was just like, okay, cool. And then he goes, okay, cool. So you're in. And I was like, wait, what? And then he goes, I'll send you I'll tell the director, and you guys can chat tomorrow. And I was like, okay. I was just like, what? Hold on, what? And then I talked to Peter the next day, and another producer, Alexi. And I guess it was 3 days before we started filming, but I had this phone conversation with Peter, hadn't met him. He obviously, like he said, he knew my work before, and they hired me. And then I started and went on this roller coaster ride of making this movie, because it was one of the most intense movies I've ever made, but it was also one of the most fun. I mean, it was just like long days, but when you're doing something that you love, everybody on set, like the crew, the cat, like there wasn't one bad apple in the bunch. We're all still friends. That's what's really, really fantastic. Like, I became really great friends with Peter because of this movie. And so I'm super grateful that I got to be cast, because the other girl didn't want to do it. So, yeah.
Well, Peter, you said you had her, Ashlynn, in mind. What was it about Ashlynn you thought was right for the role?
I had, first of all, I liked her presence, her screen presence, and also the body of work she has done seemed kind of good enough for me to consider her for the role. But of course, one of the biggest issues in the beginning, especially with other people involved in pre-production, was how big of a name the actress should be, and you're always looking for the biggest name for your money, the biggest bang for your buck, and this is how the other actress appeared to be. But then she canceled, and then I just returned to Ashlynn. But I seriously considered her for the role for like probably 2-3 months before that, and I watched all her movies that she has done. So I was very confident she was good. She was gonna be good for this, and it was actually I'm actually grateful that the other actors canceled, because everything turned out so well, And the production was really challenging, because basically we made just one hallway in this one warehouse, and we had to be so creative to shoot it in so many different ways that it looks like it was a huge facility with thousands of hallways. And it was actually one hallway with two or three rooms. We had to make it look like something huge underground medical facility. So, well, this is one of these movie things,
Yeah, it totally worked.
It was really cool.
I was actually had some of that in my notes about like where you filmed and if you did do some tricks to make it seem like a bigger place. So
he did a lot of tricks.
Yeah.
He built the thing from the ground up. So I just jumped on board, and I remember Lucas sending me video of like Peter rented this huge warehouse in downtown Los Angeles and built the facility from the ground up. And then they tore it down right after we were finished. So it's custom built, and it's this long hallway with these doors. And then behind each door on the right-hand side were rooms that were the different character rooms, like Cassandra's room, the operation room. And then, they trick them out to be other people's rooms as well. And then on the other side was another row of doors. And then behind that, it was essentially our backstage. It's where hair and makeup was. It was where, you kept film equipment. And, that's where the editor Vaughn sat and was editing away while we were filming.
And the makeup.
And, the makeup trailer. So we were all just like right there, but it was so, we filmed a lot in that hallway. So there were moments where we were like, what is supposed to be at the end of the hallway? What hallway number are we in? Like, because, there's so many intricacies to that. And, you had to, what numbers are on the doors? Because those were interchangeable. So it was a lot of, art department had a very big job in resetting the hallway many, many times. And Neal, you'll get it, but there's a teaser that we'll send you that is of the hallway. It's a hallway segment. Oh, you saw it. Yeah. In the movie. Yeah. And it's so cool because I showed that to my husband the other night and he was like, wait, how did you guys do that? And I was like, magic of filmmaking. Because I was like, that we just kept walking down the same thing, So it was really, really cool. Yeah.
I have a friend who is a doctor. So he's also hoarding medical stuff. So he gave us a gurney, an old gurney, old operating table. We had a vintage dental chair, all these things. So we had to move them around. It really looks cool. There was one door that we had to replace. The door frame, we had to put 5 different doors into this door frame to make different exits from this place.
Yeah.
These are different exits, So it was interesting actually. We lived on this set for a month.
Yeah.
Essentially 12 hours every day for a month.
And by the end of it, we were like, we're done with the hallway. No. We were like, all of us were getting cuckoo at one point because, you feel like you're in an insane asylum, but which I like that type of atmosphere on set. Yeah, it definitely helps the actor for sure. It definitely helps but I can see the crew being like, get me out of here, and, but it was really, really cool too. And it's also just really cool because I've had a couple people ask me, they're like, where did you guys film that? Where is that filmed? And I'm like, you'll never see it again. It's custom. There's nothing else like it. It's a custom built set. It's not on some backlot stage. It's not like you've seen it before. It's so unique. And it's the design of Peter. So it's really cool.
No, Peter, did you know that you had a friend who had this medical equipment before you wrote the story? Is that part of the reason why?
Well, I didn't actually. When we were just talking over some beers, and we were having a little part. So I mentioned to him that I'm doing this horror kind of medical horror kind of movie. I'm actually planning to do it at the time. And I asked him if he knows where I can get some stuff, like medical stuff. And he says, well, from my garage, and I went to his garage. Funny. It was like, it was a treasure trove, So I got most of the equipment for the movie from my friend's garage. Yeah, he was storing it there. And now he's storing it into my garage, so it's all in my.
Oh, maybe just no, I still have it.
Well, the garage has a very, very. It's a very key element in American culture, I guess. The garage.
Yeah, to store things in your garage. Love it.
So Ashlynn, you said you had 3 days, when you get the script and when you're going to film the movie. So what's that like, those 3 days because you're in almost every scene, you're the, lead of the movie to even just memorize all the lines.
Yeah. It was funny. I didn't remember that it was only 3 days. I was like, oh, I had like I think I had like a week or something, but no, it was very, very fast.
It was fast. I remember very well. We had to start to film on Monday.
Yeah.
And the other actors canceled on Thursday before that.
Yeah, and I think I met you on Saturday.
On Saturday, and we started shooting on Monday.
We started shooting on Monday. Yeah. So the first thing I had to do was, because I'm married now and I have a daughter, and at the time she was almost a year old. So I had to tell Michael, my husband, I was like, hey, Lucas just hooked me up with this amazing script. And I was like, you don't have time to read it or look at it, but I'm so excited. I'm going to be gone for a month. Like, I had to just tell him, like, 12-hour days, mama's going to be gone. And this was the first project I had done, like real project that I had done after giving birth. So I was I think honestly, I was just so amped to dive into something of this size. Because, after I gave birth to Vivian, I went and I started doing commercials again, and then I did a TV movie, but those are so quick, and so I was so excited to just dive right in. So I just took it, basically I just took the script and I sectioned it off into weeks that we were filming. And I only focused on that week, and that was it. And then I would focus on the next week. So I didn't even look at the stuff with Hellenbach because I knew I had weeks to look at that. Right. And that's honestly how I, could chip away at it, because it is a lot. I am in almost every single scene. And, I wanted to make sure I had a really good through line with her. And she has so many, because we were filming flashbacks, and then we were going back into, she was running in the woods. Like, one of the first things I filmed was running in the woods when I escaped. Mm-hmm. And like, I hadn't seen the facility yet. I hadn't experienced any of that. So having to, and then also we had so many things where it was like, does she wear her hat? Does she not wear the hat? Does she, it's like, where is she at in this place? Because we filmed so far out of sequence. So, it was definitely challenging, but if I wouldn't have had just, Peter and Lucas right there beside me, just basically like your biggest cheerleaders, or your director and your DP, just really guiding you on where you're navigating to go, because they know the script so well. It's just like, and also I have a kind of crazy good memory. So I didn't have trouble with that part of it. I kind of memorized the entire movie so that I was really prepared on exactly where she was, like, at any moment. So, yeah.
Ashley, really good script supervisor.
Yeah, I became script supervisor for a part of, like, a little bit of it, where I was like, no, that's not right. They weren't holding that. Like, I'm a little crazy when it comes to continuity. Which is a good and a bad thing. Some people can find it super annoying, because I'll be like, you weren't holding your cup like that. I never try to correct another actor, but if it's something blaringly obvious, I'm like, don't do that. Like, it's just not going to match. And also, I've wound up on the cutting room floor in one of my first projects. It was a commercial, because my continuity was off. And so I'm like, never again. Right. Never again. Yeah.
Giving you a complex. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
How about Louis Mandelar? How did he get involved? And he's perfect as a doctor. What was he like to work with?
Why do you keep healing me? Why don't you just kill me?
We don't kill people here.
Oh, he was very good. Alexia, our other producer, hooked us up because he happens to be of Greek descent. Louis. And Alexia, our other producer, is from Cyprus, which is also a Greek community there. So they, I don't know exactly how Alexi got hooked up with Louis, but he was actually my casting director in the beginning. So somehow he found him. I don't know exactly how, but they clicked. And then he was introduced to me, and I liked the guy a lot. And he was excellent to work with. He's very professional, and I kind of also I felt lucky that I found him and Ashlynn, for this project because as you know, cast is everything. So I got very lucky in this department. Yeah, Luis, actually, I'm from Bulgaria, and he married a Bulgarian gal, and he's gone almost most of the time. He's in Bulgaria now, from what I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we had a lot of common things to talk, and he was very professional and brilliant actor, I would say. Too.
Yeah, I thought it was really. I mean, for me, it was just so. It's so wonderful when you get to work with an actor who is as seasoned as Louis is. He's been around for so long, and most people know him from, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where he is super funny and he's got this like jet black hair, and and he always speaks with his, Brooklyn dialect, which he's actually Australian. And so it's really cool that he, got to portray Dr. Hellenbach. And I just loved his approach to the character. And he's one of the most giving actors. Like, he's like, what do you want to do? Let's do it. Okay. How do you want to, he wants to rehearse between scenes, and he was just a dream to work with. So I really did love working with him. And I think he plays a villain very, very well. I think he does a very, very good job. So I could see more work coming to him because of this movie, because he hasn't really been in a role like this before. Mm-hmm. And to have that creepy, stoic, presence without saying anything. Not a lot of actors can do that. And he can. It's now in his wheelhouse. And so it's really cool. I'm excited to see where it takes him.
Yeah, I thought he was great in the movie. He always plays very calm. Pretty much every scene, which adds to the creepiness.
Yeah, right. It's like when it's like man versus man, and the person is being very calm when they're doing horrible things. It's like odd. Like, right. What is wrong with them?
He's trying to comfort you while at the same time, all these terrible things are happening. So.
Yeah. So I think he's really, really great. The entire cast is phenomenal. I mean, like I said before, there's like not one bad apple in the bunch. Like, every single one of them is just a wonderful actor who came to set, which also helped me a lot because, again, I didn't get a table read. I didn't get, weeks to, hey, let's FaceTime and chat, or like, let's go get a coffee, Yorgos, and like chat because you're playing my husband. I didn't get any of that time. So having a cast that was so open and just fully prepared when they came in to do their part was just a dream for me. It was so great. And we all truly became friends, and we're still friends, and which doesn't happen often in movies. Yeah.
So on the medical part of the movie, I think everyone can relate to the fear of if you're getting an operation, even if it's something not life threatening. The idea of like you're going under, what's going to happen when you wake up. So that right there, I think people can relate to that and get creeped out by that. Because myself, this month is 5 years ago, I got very sick, and I had emergency surgery and had 14 inches of my colon removed. So,
oh my God.
Similar. Then from there, I got much healthier. That's what inspired me to get healthier and everything. But just the idea of because I woke up and I had a colostomy bag, which I didn't know I was going to have, and so it was which I shouldn't go on a list. But luckily, I got healthier and I could reverse everything. But I think just the idea of going under is scary to begin with, and then to add horror elements to it makes it takes it to a whole another level.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. One of my biggest fears is going in for surgery. And I've had a few surgeries. little fun fact, that's my real appendix scar.
Oh, really?
In the movie. That's not fake. That's my real appendix scar, which I had removed when I was 9. So that was also a little weird correlation between like me playing her. Right. When we went to go film that where I lift up and you see that scar, I remember Lucas was like, that's not real. And I was like, Lucas, this is my real scar. And he was like, no, Maury did that, who was our special effects. And I was like, Maury, come here. Did you put this on me? And she's like, no, that's her real scar. And I was like, it's real, guys. So it was like super fun.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I was like, I'm so method, guys. I've been preparing for this since I was 9.
Right.
But yeah, I would agree with you. One of the scariest things I think when you go under for me is the anesthesia working. I always get a little I'm like, oh my God, please work and actually put me fully under, because I've heard those horror stories of people being put under, but they can still feel and hear everything, but their body is like in a comatose state. So that to me would be just, I don't know if I could live through that. Honestly, that would be so terrifying, waking up knowing like you went through surgery and you felt everything. So yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to just the opening part of like going under and waking up somewhere else. That's already just so creepy right there. So Peter, bravo for writing that very creepy beginning. Which
just real quick, what you said there is a big part of the movie, is the idea, you don't have to get too dark here, but the idea that being in constant pain is worse than the idea of just dying. And that's, a big part of the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
So did you have Peter, did you have any experience with a surgery or anything like that inspired the story?
Well, I have experience with surgeries, but they didn't inspire the story. The story was one morning I woke up and I was just checking my emails, and I'm looking at this. There was one of these screenplay competitions online. They were offering $1,000 reward for a horror script, and I haven't had at the time I didn't have anything better to do, so I sat down and wrote a horror script. And while I was writing it, and I was thinking like how to make it original, and so decided to make it like a medical thing. And then I was thinking, okay, but how this thing would make sense. And then I came up with this really cool idea to make it a morality tale, which is taking place in a medical facility. It was very rational. It was nothing in my life really was inspired me for this. It's just pure fantasy. Yeah.
But yeah, I like when it becomes a morality tale. It's almost like a Twilight Zone episode. The movie kind of shifts from being a horror to, in a way, kind of science fiction, because you start, I don't know, but I like all that. When you were reading the script, Ashlynn, when you get to that point and the movie really changes, what did you think?
Oh, I actually had to like flip back because I was like, am I reading that correctly?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Because I was like, I didn't see that coming, when I was, because again, Lucas had sent me the script and that was it. I didn't know the title. I didn't know anything. I didn't know the plot, nothing. So I'm just reading it. And as I'm going through and I'm like, wait, what? Hold on a second. And then I start going back and start adding up all of like the little tiny details that are weaved in that, Peter put in the dialogue, where it starts all making sense and it starts all adding up. And I'm like, no way. And so I thought it was just such a cool, like, flip. Like, I was like, this is so cool. Love it. Just so down to, it was original to me. And it was, which is, you watch tons of horror. Like sometimes it's hard to create something super original that like you haven't seen before, kind of falls in the same lines. And so, even though it is a medical terror, which is cool, it's not human centipede medically accurate at all,
right.
Like whatever. But it has all these like just really just cool twists in it. But when you get to that final twist, it's like a big payoff, I feel like.
I was just saying, Do you have a fear of doctors after Human Centipede and doing an Antidote?
No, no, but I mean, I will tell you, I think the scariest thing to me is man versus man. You know, like I don't know, I don't really get scared of like paranormal stuff, things like that, but I'm terrified. I think I have a little bit of stranger danger, but I'm terrified of what another man can do to another human being. It's unbelievably terrifying. It's just like, my husband makes fun of me because I don't watch like a ton of horror movies. I get super scared. But like I will watch a murder documentary like all day long about like some guy like cutting up bodies and keeping them in his basement. I'm like, what makes him do that? You know, and I'm just like glued to the screen. And he's like, but you won't watch a horror movie. I was like, I know. You know, so yeah.
That is weird. You think that's like real life horror movie?
I know. Yeah.
We have to change so many titles. I mean, the initial title when I wrote the script was Bloodstained.
Yeah.
Then the working title while we were filming was The Facility. Then at some point it was changed to Panacea. Then it was changed by the distributor to The Cure All. And then Ashlyn's husband came up with the new title, Antidote.
Antidote. Yeah. It was super interesting. Like it went through so many different, you know, because I think the working title, The Facility, it worked. It was, you know, it's a good title, but there was so many films out there with that title that it was like, I think we could do better. And then our sound guy came up with Panacea, which we all loved, but I've done a couple movies where if it's not a word that's used often, they always change it.
Yeah, the distributor didn't like Panacea.
Didn't like it. And then they were like, The Cure All. And I was like, no. And I was like, that's not good. No. And I remember I was just like over coffee with Michael. I was like, we need to come up with a different name. It's so hard. I was like, and again, he's only seen like snippets of stuff that I've shown him, like BTS. Like he doesn't really know the full grasp of like what happens in the movie. So he's excited to see the full thing. Because he's like, I have no idea what you did. Like, I just have seen like me on set being like, hey, look what I'm doing today. I'm getting hung, you know, or whatever. And so then he was like, I think honestly, he had read an article about COVID vaccines and it had the word antidote in it. And I think he said something. He was like, what about antidote? Like, that's just, it's an A. It's like,
I was thinking that too, just from other people. If you have an A, they say it's better because it's up.
Yeah.
At the top.
Yeah, they do. It's up at the top and all these things. And he was like, what about antidote? And I was like, oh yeah. Oh. And then I texted to Peter and Peter was like, yeah. And then the distributor was like, yeah. So, I mean, it was the title from someone who knows nothing about the movie.
Sometimes I think you need to take a step back and.
Yeah.
Well, we were really desperate to get a good title because, you know, for the independent movies with no big stars in it, the title is quite important.
Yeah.
And I was actually at some point so desperate that I put an ad in Craigslist, you know, that I would pay $60 to somebody who comes up with a great title.
Oh, really?
And I had about like 200 people submitting titles, and none of them was good. So, this is to show you how hard it is to come up with a good title.
It really is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Whenever that comes up, if I'm at a festival about the A thing, I always suggest they just call the movie Aardvark because you have double A.
Oh, Aardvark.
Yeah.
I love it. Just call it that. It's arbitrary.
It doesn't work. You know,
I love it.
Someone out there could make a movie about a killer aardvark.
Yeah, they could. Hey, you put it out there, somebody will make it, you know.
Sure. Do you remember any of the titles that were bad that people sent in from Craigslist?
Oh, well, they were, you know what, this is an interesting idea. I should probably put them together and I can email them to you.
All right. Yeah, I'd be interested. I think
there were some really cool, like creepy titles, which were not good for the film, but they were good titles.
No.
Yeah.
You know, some very interesting ones. Actually, you know what? This is a good thing. I'm gonna send me your email and I'll email you back some of the coolest titles.
All right. That sounds
I
good.
love it.
Yeah. I'll give it to you after. Well, I give it to you now, but I'll give it to you after. But if anybody else wants email, it's withoutyourhead@gmail.com. It's very easy to remember.
Yes.
So there's a lot of cringy shots in the movie. So who did the effects?
Oh, it was Chris, a guy who was referred to me by another friend, a filmmaker. His company is called Not My Monkey Media. So he did, basically we have one whole scene, which is visual effects, which was shot on green screen. And I can also send you a link to compilation, which I did, which is like the green screen shots are right on the same screen with the final shot. So
yeah, it's a split screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
it's split screen it's really cool of what we shot, or no, what was actually in the movie and then what we shot. Mm-hmm. So you can see like how it's trippy for me to watch it, because it's like what we shot on the green screen versus what was actually completed and made. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. So yeah.
Had you Ashlynn worked with green screen often?
No, that was only my second time working with the green screen. And my first time was on a commercial. So it was like so different, because that's more like, make sure her hair's not fuzzy, like type thing. Like make sure she's, whatever. This was super trippy to film because, again, we filmed that green screen stuff before we filmed the facility in the warehouse. So again, we're filming the end of the movie first, which is just a challenge in itself on any movie, but now doing a green screen and also really trying to get into the mindset of Peter's head on what he envisions this lava chasm to look like.
I had the storyboard, but we also had the effects supervisor that they canceled a few of the shots, so it was challenging too.
It was super challenging, and also just like what Peter envisioned, also what they're going to make. Are they going to be the same thing? So it's like, as an actor, you really just want to give them the best that you can when you're acting off of nothing.
Right.
And it's really, really cool it's a fun behind the scenes making of the VFX. It's really cool. Peter sent it to a few of us last night, and I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then, you see flying through the air, and, we had a great stunt team. They were awesome, who, rigged me in many different ways to make all that stuff look really believable. So, yeah.
Along those lines, go on, Peter.
Oh, yeah. Just wanted to mention that Ashlynn this was the first time she flew on a cable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was having.
Was that a fun experience?
It was so fun. I think I had more fun than I did like working. Like I was just like, because there's just these two big guys, and they're just like rigging me with this vest, and then they just hoist me, and you just kind of go, and you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. And so it was my first time flying on a cable, and I got to do it a couple of times because we had to reshoot some stuff. So I got to fly I think twice. because then we did some stuff in the warehouse too. So it was just a very cool experience as far as like doing stunt work that I have never done before. So I got to feel very empowered as a female to do that kind of, I got to feel, because I don't get roles like that. I'm not like this, like, workout, crazy, athletic, like, I'm not like, an action star. And so it was really cool that Peter wrote that for her and I got to play that. So it was super cool.
Yeah. The reverse of that, when you're filming scenes, like when you're in pain, you're being tortured, what's the vibe on set like for that? And is that ever hard to do? Like not just physically, but like emotionally? Yeah.
I mean, the vibe on our set was very respectful. when we had to do really intense scenes, like for instance, it wasn't my scene, but it was where Ravi gets his tongue cut out. That was one of the most tense times on set because there was an extra, his name was Evan, and he played one of the doctors. And Evan, you know, he worked like 4 or 5 days on the movie as a doctor because you see them multiple times. So he's the one who's doing the, you know, the pulling of the tongue out. And I remember he was like, I walked on set, like they had already started filming and he was like sweating bullets and he was like, I'm shaking. I can't be shaking. I'm a doctor. I do this all the time. And he's like being very serious. And so everybody collectively, you know, when we had to do those really tense scenes where it's like my leg getting chopped off, I'm getting hung in the air, like any, you know, and Augie, you know, when she slits her throat, any of that stuff, because there's so many aspects to it for the special effects team. And because we don't have a ton of takes, everybody is on point. No one is goofing off. No one is making, you know, like just doing something that they shouldn't be doing. No one's distracting the actor. Everyone is just so focused. And we just had a really awesome crew that was really respectful of everybody's work. So it was great.
Great. And we actually did most of this. We had to do on the first take because resetting the whole shot and cleaning everything, once we had all this blood around, it would take hours.
Yeah.
We had to be, most of the stuff we really did on the first take, you know, and the thing with Evan was, it was actually interesting because the actor whose tongue was supposed to be cut out, and I asked him, Ravi, hey, can we put these pliers in your mouth and grab your tongue? And he says, sure, no problem. But Evan says, well, I cannot do it.
Yeah, because Evan was so, like, he was just like, oh my God, you know, and Ravi was like, you know, with the thing. And he, it's the willingness of, you know, an actor.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something you're thinking, is the other guy going to be okay with that? But you never think, is the other guy going to be okay grabbing the tongue? You know, that's
actually the actor made Evan, you know, Ravi, hey, let's do it. Just don't worry about my tongue.
Yeah.
And he was very instrumental in actually helping out with this. He's a great guy too. You know. So yeah, it was very collaborative. It was an excellent collaboration during the whole film. We didn't have a single actually accident, which I would remember with kind of you know, bad thoughts. Mm-hmm. Everything was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Ashlynn, it's one thing, you know, when you're filming the movie, but then when you see the finished movie, it's all cut together and has a score and everything. It can be totally different. So what did you think when you saw the finished Antidote?
I will tell you, I haven't watched it all the way through properly on a full screen TV. I've only seen it, you know, on the computer.
Right.
So my initial reaction when I saw, you know, because I've, you know, so much blood, sweat, and tears went into it. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so proud, you know? And then I go back and I'm like, wow, how did we do that? Like, there's some really cool trickery in there. There's some really cool camera tricks that are done in there. And just making this piece, you know, the facility look way bigger than it is, like all of those things. I'm so proud of it. And I'm so excited for other people to see it. And I'm so proud of the cast and the crew who all worked so hard to make this a great project, because really everybody that was working on it wanted it to be a great film. And you didn't have one person who was just like, it's just a paycheck, whatever, which you can get on, you know, if it's just somebody who's just showing up to be like, I'm just here to be a grip or whatever, they were like, this is really like, I had, PAs on set who were like, this is so cool. Like they were so like stoked about watching us make this movie. And they didn't even know the full extent of like what everything was that we were doing. But yeah, it's just really exciting when you see a film come out and it come out to the masses, because in independent film, you just never know when it gets to come out. So it's just a very proud moment for me. And I'm super, super proud of Peter. And he made this awesome movie, gave me a great job, gave me a really cool, he gave me a great role, which I don't get to play characters like her very often. So it's just, he let me be a badass, and I'm so grateful for it. So I'm super excited for everyone to see it.
Yep. Earlier you said, I see a lot of horror movies, and I do. And, I won't say anything bad about a lot of them, but a lot of them are really kind of paint by the numbers, kind of the same thing you've seen a lot of times. And to me, that's pretty boring. But when something interesting comes out and something unique, it's fun to talk about on the show and hope people see it. And I really enjoyed Antidote. It was completely different, and it kept me wanting to see where it went, because it was I didn't know exactly where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And it had something to say too. Not every movie has something to say.
Bravo, Peter.
Thank you.
Did COVID affect at all filming the movie and releasing the movie?
Not really. No, we were right on time with this. So the only thing that really took a very long time is because we finished the film essentially in August last year. But since then, it has been stuck in distribution because the distributor wanted to really come up with a very realistic and successful distribution scheme. So I trusted him with this. So we didn't push for earlier release. We could have released this film like last year in October or November.
Mm-hmm.
No, but we wanted it to be released after the pandemic. So in this sense, the pandemic kind of played a role, but it was not really because of the pandemic, but because the distributor, according to his experience, this is how it should be released. And I trusted him with that. And that's about all. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make the interview obviously about Human Centipede, but I do want to ask one question, Ashlynn.
Sure.
And that is, how is your how you look at the movie? Not like watching the movie, but how you feel about Human Centipede? How has that changed over the years, from like when you first did it to the last few years till now?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question, Neal. Because you're one of the first people who I met when I did that movie. Goodness, when the Human Centipede first came out, I didn't know anything about being in this business. I didn't know anything about, it was my first movie. I was 22 when I made it. I didn't know it was going to become what it did.
Yeah.
And so it was like the first 2 years after the Human Centipede came out, it was like I was on this crazy whirlwind ride of like conventions and people wanting me on their podcasts. And I was going in for all these different shows, and all these casting directors were bringing me in to basically talk to me about the movie. It was like, I would go in for an audition and they'd just want to talk about the movie. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't want to do that. I just want to work. And so I shied away from, being dubbed the Scream Queen for a few years. I didn't want to be called that. I was like, I don't want to be known as the Scream Queen, blah, blah, blah. And as I've gotten older, I've actually really come to appreciate that term, because one, I'm so grateful that I started out in horror, because as you know, horror films are very open to new talent, and they'll cast you with no credits, and you get to do a film where you get to portray all of the emotions. In this movie, particularly Antidote, I get to play the whole spectrum of emotions, ranging back and forth. And it's really fun as an actor to get to do that. It's not just a romantic comedy popcorn flick, where I'm upset and in love. It's just like I get to be all of these different things. And I think that's something that horror really gives you as an actor. And as I've gotten older, I like the term being a scream queen because I realize not a lot of people can do it and do it convincingly. And I'm not saying I'm like the best horror actress, but I do think I do have something inside of me that innately is terrified, and it comes across where I can portray, fear pretty well.
Yeah, and it really comes through an antidote.
Yeah, and in a realistic way. Thank you. And in a realistic way. And that's hard to do. And I really just love the genre, and I want to continue to keep working in it. And, we'll see what else happens and comes along. But as far as the Human Centipede, it's been such a long time since it's came out, and I've done so many other projects in between, but it will always be, for, not trying to be punny, but attached to me. Like it will always be attached to me. It's like, I'm never not going to have that movie attached to my name. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I know some actors really don't like some of the work that they've done and they don't want to be attached to it, but I'm not that way about the Human Centipede. I'm like, it was a cool project and I'm really grateful for it. And that's where I'm at with it. And, I love talking to people who've seen it for the first time, or they're like, just heard about it. Cause I'm like, where have you been? It's been around forever, but there's always new people discovering it. I will tell you on a personal level, I probably will never let my daughter watch it.
Especially right now. She's 1, I think you said. So.
No, she's 2.5 now. Oh my gosh. Yeah. She's like, they grow so fast. They change. So I've already made that decision where I'm just like, I'm probably not going to tell her about that till she's like way older. Just because I
could see that.
I just don't want her to have to deal.
For everybody either. So.
Yeah. I don't want her to come home when she's like 12 and be like, Mom, I found out you were in the Human Centipede, and then I have to explain that to her. Right. So, yeah.
Very good. Where can people follow Antidote online, or either of you personally, to see where the movie's where it's available, and what else you guys are up to?
Yeah. I think the best place to follow the movie is on Instagram. And we're sharing a lot of stuff on that page. It's antidote_movie. You can also see a bunch of all the other cast members are, there's little snippets of each of them listed on there. So you can see really cool snippets from the movie, some really awesome stills from the movie before it comes out. I can be found on Instagram and Twitter, same thing. My name, Ashlynn Yennie. And the teasers are really nice. They're just like a little, I love teasers. Yeah, I love teasers because they just give you like that little bit of like, ooh, and it's like, it's just, and they're always like,
it's not, sometimes a trailer, even if it's a good trailer stuff, it gives too much away of the movie. And it seems kind of silly to say 2 minutes is too much of my time to devote. But, some people, they see if it's 2 or 3 minutes, they don't want to click on it. But if it's 30 seconds, they'll click on it.
Yeah. Or if it's 15 seconds and they're like, what is that? And then they want to see more, that's what you get them. You get them hooked in with that little.
Oh, we're going to talk again, I guess, in a year or so.
Yeah.
This is not the last movie we have made.
Oh, I should have asked about that if you're doing something else together. But
well, not together. Well, we are going to be doing together, but Ashlynn is going to be producing.
Oh, very cool.
She has good talents, good eye for a producer, and we have a few projects on the table. But immediately, what I have is a short film, which I'm shooting actually this month. And that next things are depending on budget, sometime around the fall. But
he's getting itchy. He's one of those filmmakers who's like, I need to work. He needs to make a project. So he has some really good stuff coming up. Really cool again, original concepts, a short film, and then a feature later in the fall that are really, really exciting. And a fun note is Peter made me a producer on this movie, Antidote, which was really exciting for me. It was my first producer credit on a feature film.
Yeah.
And he's then, entrusted me. Again, this is where, like I said before, it's like everyone who made this movie, we all became friends and have stayed friends and, have wanted to continue collaborating together. And so Peter has asked me to help him produce some more projects, which is
very cool.
Really cool to be on that side of it. Because, as the actor, that's just one facet of the filming process. It's a big part, but it's a small part too. I mean, in the big scheme of like when you make a project. So it's fun to get to be on the other side. And Peter makes really cool films. So I'm excited to link arms with him and do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I assume you are being the script supervisor on the movie probably helped his decision.
Always. Yes.
Very good.
I think sometimes he was like, I know I annoyed people sometimes where I was like, no, I'm not standing on the right. And I remember one moment Peter was like, her memory is incredible. I was like, because I just have this like laser focused when I'm.
Yeah. On a serious note, though, it is sometimes hard to know, like, I don't want to be annoying, but also you want this to be good. So,
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And it's like, also you just don't want it to be, like glaring, this glaring light of like, that's not what she was doing in the, like, or her hair was way over here, or, it's just like that type of thing. It's like if you can correct those things on set, it's the best because you only have that one moment to correct it. So why not make it perfect, Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
Very good. Well, I'll let you guys go. By the way, I'll cut this part, but I co-produced my first feature it was February, and it was like weeks before everything shut down. So we still have to finish getting some shots, but hopefully in the coming year, these things will actually be released.
Well, congratulations. And I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw the assembly cut of the movie I did before that last night, and it was a weird experience watching that, but it was.
Well, good. Well, that's exciting.
All right. Yeah, it is exciting. All right. Thanks, guys. Very good. Well, this was really fun. I was glad to do this.
Yeah, it was so nice chatting with you, Neal. I'm so grateful that you are healthy and doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really scary to go through something like that, but I'm so glad you're on the other side of it now.
Yeah. I've lost 180 pounds. I stopped drinking, changed my diet. After this, I'm going to go walk 5 or 10 miles. I walk every day, but yeah, I'm doing very good. Thank you.
Wow. That's amazing. That's so cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was good to see you in a really cool movie.
Thank you.
It was very nice at the conventions, and I really dug the movie. And not just because you're both here. I really like the movie.
Thanks, Neal. You're super sweet. Well, good. Tell your friends.
I will.
What you're going to.
Yeah. Luckily, people watch these. So.
Yes, they do. You're very popular. I mean, you've been popular for a very, very long time. So,
I like to hear that too. I'm going to keep that in the.
You are. I mean, I know you are.
That'll be the teaser for the interview.
You're also just a genuinely really nice person. Like you are. I met you. I've seen you, how many times over the past 12 years, at certain conventions and things like that. And you're one of those people when I see you, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk to Neal,
Well, thank you. I always feel the same way about you. Very nice.
No, you're so sweet.